Hi, my name is Soroosh.
And I'm Dennis, and welcome back to Hearts Wide Open, the men's health podcast. Today we have a really interesting topic we wanted to talk about. But first, let me ask you, how are you doing, Soroosh?
I'm good, a little bit tired because today, as promised in our previous episode and as promised in our social media, I did the Urban Trail on Haarlem 10K. So we just came back. Well, not just came back, but I had the run in the morning. So I'm a little bit tired, but I'm here to tell about my experience there and to record this episode together.
Yeah.
Yes. Sir.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about your run today, but also what role running plays in your life and the type of things you do for your runs and during your runs. So, take us back. How did this even start? Why did you sign up for this run in the first place?
This run specifically, let me think about it. So the first run, actually today I was thinking that you sent me the first run that I signed up for. It was the Den Haag one.
Yeah, so last year we ran 10 kilometers together in Den Haag.
It was this year, no?
This year? Oh yeah,
it was
February
March.
March
Or February this year. And even though I did not do very well and I was very in pain afterward, my muscle-wise, not time-wise, I was not ready. Even still, I really liked it.
What did you like about it? Even like you said, it didn't feel very good.
Yeah. Maybe the fact that there were a lot of people there that I didn't know and they were cheering you up. And even I did better than my personal best time. I have never trained for the 10K. I think the max I did before going on that competition was 6K in the gym on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And then I went there and it was a lot of pushing. Well, you as a very good friend of mine was there. It was overall a nice experience. So I looked always to do another, not marathon, but kind of running. So because I don't think I'm ever going to do a marathon, but maybe I will. Never say never. Yeah, never say never.
So that was your very first official run that you signed up for?
Like competition-wise that they time you. That was the first one.
Yeah.
And afterward, it was summer, and then I didn't really do too much running, but I always really wanted to. So during the summer, I signed up for Dam tot Dam, which is a competition here. I think it's 16 kilometers. Yeah, that's 10 miles.
From Amsterdam to Zaandam. Yeah.
And I also signed up for this one, I think, at the same time, because this was called the Urban Trail. And when I was reading it sounded very cool. And the Urban Trail is that you run through the city, but not just the street. You also run through the, how do you call it? Like city buildings, the monuments, landmarks. For example, today we started from somewhere that is like center of business and some companies are there in Haarlem. We entered the municipality, the cinema, Pathé, some sort of a game store, a sport shop that they sell sports, and we were like running up the escalator and running down around the shop. And museums, cafe, I destroyed one cafe. And it was, the idea for me was interesting, that to see a city through running. And it was also a little bit lower paced because the urban trails are usually much more for fun rather than necessarily for the run. So I also signed up at the same time for this as well. I didn't make the Dam tot Dam because I had a knee injury. But then this one, I really wanted to make it. So I also put some time in practicing.
Nice. Yes, so it sounds super interesting, and I love the fact that you also ran through, like it was kind of like a sightseeing, but then while also running with other people together. Yeah, I think that's super cool. Something you mentioned before as well, like you actually ran through a cinema, and there was through a movie theater, and there was actually a movie playing as well.
Yeah, at some point. I didn't know it's gonna be this intense, but intense as really they are playing a movie.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, Max, we're gonna run through the cinema. And dude, I literally imagine this was, I think, kilometer 7. I was already a little bit tired. Started raining. I was soaking wet. Like, rain was dripping from my nose. This music was banging in my ear. Doop, doop, doop. We entered Pathé.
Your own music or the?
Yeah, my own music. And I entered Pathé, and I smell popcorn.
Perfect.
The first thing I smelled was popcorn. And we went 2 floors down and through the cinema hall, and they were playing a movie. And then we run up again 2 floors. Overall, it was interesting. I did like it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect, because I was also aiming to record a better time, like a personal best. And at some point, I was a little bit angry that I had to wait in line to get to the church or the school, because a lot of people were taking pictures. It's a run to have fun.
Yeah.
The Urban Trail.
Cool.
Which is nice if you go with friends or colleague. A lot of people with their colleagues, so that was a fun aspect of it.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
And you said that you're actually this was also a run that you practiced for. So, how did that look like? Like in the weeks leading up to the run, how did your training look like, or the practice?
So the week leading to the run, I think, well, I still had some knee injuries, like I think inflammation in my knees, like the muscles around it. So I went to physiotherapy. So at some point I didn't practice too hard. But as my housemate recommended, I tried to first register the kilometers. So I tried to run with a slow pace, but more kilometer, so my heartbeat can adapt to this this long distance running. And I remember, I think from 3-4 weeks before, I started doing, for example, 5K and then 6K and then 7K and 8. I think the last one I did was 8K with a slow pace. I think my heartbeat was around 185, something like that, to just get used to it. Because my purpose of running is not really speed or winning. It's more for fun and for also being healthy and also for my mental health and mind.
Yeah. But it was still a challenge for you, right? I mean, you went for 10K, but it turned out to be actually 13.
That was also something very funny. So I could really notice that I was hitting my personal best, because I was timing myself in between the different monuments. And I was faster than usual, probably like 10-15%, which is usual race behavior. And around kilometer 10 or something, we entered like so NS is the national train. Well, it stands for something else, but it's the train provider in Netherlands. And the last stop was, before NS was Pathé. And on my watch, we entered Pathé, and I was like, okay, this is 9.5. So 500 meters left. It was pouring rain. I was like, I'm going to push it to the max in this 500 meter. I ran for another kilometer and still not finished. And I just saw that there's this big warehouse that now we're entering as the next monument, which was the warehouse of NS when they make the trains. And it was massive. I was like, and I was already like 10.5 kilometer. I was like, dude, what is this? And then there we ran a little bit more slow pace, because of course it's a factory, so you cannot run. We got to the end of the warehouse, and now we had to run all the way back from the outside.
Oh, in the rain.
In the rain. And I was like, okay, well, this must be the last. So I was like, I'm going to do my best push again. I started running fast. Kilometer 12, I'm still not at the end. And at the end, when we got through some of the places that I knew, because we started running from, it was a loop. It was around kilometer 13.5 kilometer where it ended. It's like, okay, well, finally, thank you for finishing. So it was a challenge, because I think this was the longest distance that I did run. And it was, even though we stopped a lot and there was a lot of lines and red lights, I still had a personal best. So that was a nice aspect for me.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. So now it's time for the next one as well.
Okay.
I'm ready for the next run.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's let me just let that all sink in. That was a lot. So you also want to run again, right?
Yeah.
You said for the next one. Do you already have one in mind?
Not really. This morning I was wanted to not morning, after the run I wanted to check for the next run. So I was like, okay, let's chill a moment, just take a chill pill. But I told you also when in the afternoon, maybe the Den Haag one that is half kilometer, because that was also nice. So maybe that one, which is in March, so it gives you like 4 months to prepare for a half marathon.
Cool, man.
And then I will call it a day.
Together. Maybe we do it together.
Let's do it together. I'm not doing more than half a marathon. I'm just saying here.
I did one like 4 years ago, 2019.
Yeah.
That was my first half marathon. And I also thought I'd stop, but I did 2 more and also other runs.
I mean, going for the whole marathon.
No, half marathons, no. I cannot do it. I think
that's what I'm saying.
With my knees, I'm not sure if it's smart. But it's really a mental game, I hear.
It is.
More than the shorter runs.
It is. I think even the 10K for me was at the end a little bit mental. That I have a theory that my body knows when to let loose. Like I have these tiredness hormones.
Wait, what do you mean by letting loose?
It announces itself tired or done.
Okay.
I think this is a thing with my body. So that's why the last 3 kilometers was for me very difficult, because mentally I was prepared for 10K. So when we got to the 10K on my watch, I was like, now I can be tired because this is the end.
Yeah.
But then actually, no, that was not the end. So the last 3 kilometers I was kind of dragging, which was not very good. But if mentally I would have told myself it is 16K, I wouldn't let loose, or I wouldn't let my body feel tired.
Okay.
Through a mental, what you tell yourself.
Well, isn't it also interesting that even though you were mentally prepared for 10 kilometers, then that you still even did the 13. So it means like you could have done 10.
Yeah.
But your body, even though it tells you I'm tired, like this was it.
Yeah.
It can still run another 3 kilometers. It's like your gas in the car is empty, but you can still go.
Yeah, but you can go, but it's more dragging than really.
And what was going on in your head in those moments? Like what were you feeling also?
It's only where the fuck this ends. This was the question.
Let this end.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. It was. I was soaking wet. I'm telling you, my shoes were wet. I was running in the wet shoes, and I was like, "Where the fuck is this end line?"
Yeah.
And I just want to get there, because even I didn't like the music that I was listening to, but since my hands were wet and the phone was wet, I couldn't change the music. So I was also stuck with the music. I was like, okay, this is it. Heart condition. We go until it finishes.
Wow.
That was it.
So then, that was so if we look at your whole run and with like emotions wise,
yeah,
you started off probably on a high with like other people starting to run in the beginning. You're not tired, right?
Yeah.
And then how did it continue if you started, let's say, on a 10?
Like tiredness or moral wise?
Both. You can also rate them separately. Like maybe it's interesting to look at that.
Well, I think tiredness I addressed with at the end. I was very tired. Before that, it was okay.
So until 10, you were fine, actually.
Yeah, because I think I kind of paced myself. I knew how to pace, which something I didn't know in the last run. And even though people were going ahead of me, I knew I'm on my own journey. I don't care if you pass me with a lot of speed.
There's always this risk because you have other runners around you that you kind of let them take you with them on their speed, and then that messes up your rhythm.
Yeah, but I was taking them over at the end.
Because you just kept the same speed and they let go? Or?
Yeah, and I pushed the last 2-3 kilometer. So that is something interesting for me, which was also...
So your moral went... actually stayed pretty stable throughout it?
Pretty stable. I don't exactly remember because I thought about a lot of things. So when I run, I don't know, maybe my entire life flashes by at some point in front of me. And I think about the decisions I made, the decisions I have to make. And I'm wondering, what would have happened if you do this? What would have happened if you do that? And it's just a journey that goes different places. I cannot tell you how it went exactly, but I remember at some point I was very tired, like mentally. I think
because you had so many thoughts going on in your mind as well, or
and at some point I got angry because people were constantly crossing me. People were just going by and by and by, and they were also old. And then it was like, oh wow, I'm 27. How does this 60-year-old is just passing me by easily? So this was also going on in my mind. And then I was thinking, oh, maybe it's because of the bad lifestyle habit that I chose. And
can you elaborate? Like, what do you mean?
I don't know. For example, maybe drinking or this kind of stuff.
That you were thinking about that, or that made you think in general?
That I was thinking about it. I was like, why is 60-year-old going faster than me? Is he in the gym every day and I'm not? You know?
So like you start doubting yourself?
Yeah, I was kind of starting to blame myself. But then again, I kick back. I'm like, dude, this is your journey. Just compare yourself to the last run. And I was looking at my watch and I was doing 20% faster than my every run, and I was happy.
So let me go back, because you said you have like these thoughts when you run. Because these thoughts are very in the present moment, right? So you were like there, it was about the run, about someone specific crossing you or something. So do you only mean those type of thoughts, or do you also mean like you have other thoughts? Like you also said, like about, for example, maybe I drink too much, but that is not in that moment. That's then another thought that's about you.
So do you mean if everything was run related or no?
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, because when I run, I have these two things. So it does get the juices flowing for me. So if I have a topic I need some new inspiration or some movement in my life, it helps me to get it flowing. And then, I don't know, just being in nature and running makes me think about different things, like, oh, maybe I could have been nicer to Soroosh on the phone, for example. And I realized that. And then after the run, I call you and I'm just nicer. So
can you really focus on one topic when you're running?
No, but it's also not that I'm choosing a topic to focus on. It just comes. And sometimes there's also nothing there.
Yeah.
And then I'm just really in the present moment. So I enjoy my surroundings, the nature. If it rains, I will enjoy that too. If it's sunny, I will enjoy that too. Some birds I see, I don't know, other people. So then I'm really in the present moment. So for me, there's like two modes of running. One is I'm really present in the moment and I'm enjoying my surroundings right there. And the other one is really, I have some things in my life that are going on, and then it gets me thinking about those things, of maybe new solutions or give some new input.
I for me it's mostly the second one, that it's the stuff that goes in my life. But I don't come up with new solutions. Like with the last episode, 2 episodes ago, we also talked with Anil. He was saying that he can spend some time mentally thinking about things. Yeah. Coming up with things. I don't know. I feel like it's very chaotic for me inside of my brain when I run, and trying to keep the pace at the same time, control your breath, and listen to the music, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of mental stimulus and physical. And I heard in a podcast that some people were recommending to not listen to music when you're running.
Yeah.
So what will you hear, do you think?
My shoes on the ground, maybe birds, cars, humans outside,
Probably
the wind and the trees.
The loudest thing I think is your breathing.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And breathing and breath, it's something you use for meditation and calming yourself down.
Coming to the present moment.
Coming to the present moment. And I was listening to this a lot, that they were recommending that try running without headphones on music. And then you focus on the pace of your breath and the pace of your shoes. As you said, that's also pretty loud. And then it gets into your mind. I don't know how to describe it, but then kind of it becomes your music.
Yeah, I think it's like your heart, right? It just keeps
also your
doing
heart
the beat. Yeah.
I can also hear my heartbeat.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So it's just a rhythm that can keep you going.
It is a rhythm that can keep you going. But at the end, because we talked about this, that you asked me, why do you go running?
Yeah.
Yesterday. You asked me to think about it during my run.
Oh yeah, so we discussed what we want to talk about today, and I thought it's a good idea to maybe just talk about what happened today, the run.
Yeah.
And
at some point, I was thinking I have a lot. When I'm running, I also have a lot of inner talk with myself. I'm a person who have a lot of inner talks.
Okay.
So, and during the running for me is an exercise to be tough.
What do you like? How do you mean to be tough? Like because pulling through or pushing your limits?
I remember again in that episode, me and Anil were talking about that I got this.
Yeah.
That things happen and you say I got this. This will happen and you say I got this. And this is what I was telling myself. You know, at the beginning it's all good. You listen to the music, da 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 da. You're singing. People are funny. Probably halfway up 7K, it's really you have to control it, and it becomes very mental. That I'm like, I'm tired. I wish I was home.
And it pays off if you pace yourself early on already.
Yeah, but still, I had pace, but it's a mental game. I'm like, everybody is at home. It's raining. Why am I here? What am I doing? I literally at some point I remember now I wanted to stop running. It's like, this rain is just crazy. What am I doing running in this rain? What am I trying to prove? To who?
And what are you trying to prove? Why did you keep running?
Yeah, that was also what I was asking myself.
But you did it.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why. The reason I think it was just to prove myself that I'm strong. That I can push through even if things become difficult. I remember I was listening to music and I was like, oh well, it's raining. Everybody's slowing down. I was like, okay, well, everybody's slowing down. You gotta continue. I was like, oh well, it's windy as fuck. I was like, well, everybody's gonna complain. You continue. This is how you win. I was having this internal discussion with myself. And at some point, the rain motivated me more. Like, I'm a person that perform better when times are difficult. Because I'm like, well, this is the time that everybody gives up, so I'm going to continue. And I was just telling myself that you got this. And I remember I was touching my heart, and I was like, you got this.
And then you continue.
Yeah. And now I'm thinking, where did this come from? That this self-care.
Yeah, you're telling yourself you got this, and you're motivating your mind, but also your body to keep going. And both can keep going, apparently, even beyond the original distance.
But I'm thinking, where did this internally come from?
Yeah.
I don't know, do you have that internal talk? Can you talk to yourself that you got this, or push more? Or do you more depend on other people to tell you?
I think when I run by myself, I have it for myself.
Yeah.
So when I was training for a half marathon, I was running 16K for training, and it was tough.
Yeah.
and I was by myself, and I kept telling myself, let's go, like I can do this. And yeah, but
And
I
you-
also worked myself up. Like I didn't just do a 16K. I did like from 8 to 10 to 11, 12 up to 16 at some point. And then that was just by myself, and I had to motivate myself, and that was like a mental game for me. Then when I actually ran a half marathon, it happened in each one of them. It was always from kilometer 18. It's not really fun anymore. So 18 to 21, like
always the
3
last
kilometers.
20%.
Yeah, the last 3 kilometers. And there's also an Amsterdam marathon, like you go down and then up again in one point, and that's pretty much where the 17, 18 kilometer mark is.
Yeah.
And then that last bit, I was like, because I run faster in a competitive run as well, so I'm not necessarily my regular pace, because race day you're always a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much physically done, but then my body kind of just keeps running, and my mind looks at the people and is trying to enjoy. And then with all these people around cheering, I just keep going because I know it will be over soon. And if I made it this far, I can make it to the end.
But I still don't got the answer to the question. Do you tell yourself?
Yeah, also. And it also helps that there's like people cheering from the sides and that I'm not running alone.
What is the first thing that come to your mind? Imagine you're in a run, you're out of breath. What is the first thing comes to your mind?
I need to slow down. Not stop, but like slow down to catch the breath again. Yeah. And get up on a comfortable level again, and then slowly increase tempo again.
And then imagine you do that a few times, you're out of it. What do you tell yourself? Or what happens in your mind?
Didn't happen to me yet.
No? Okay.
Well, no, I do the same thing again. I realize, okay, because I know I can do the distance. I have never done like a marathon or more where I'm not sure if I can do the distance. I normally did runs where I was kind of prepared. Yeah. And not cold turkey, like I didn't run for 2 months, now I'm running 10 kilometers. Okay. No. But I remember one run, the one Dam tot Dam actually, where I ran with Xavi. Like that's a good friend of mine. And we started together, we ran together in the beginning, and we were so fast. And I was like, we were kind of pushing each other as well. And it's like, oh my God, what's happening? And then after 8-9 kilometers, I felt like I can't keep this pace. And I told him, dude, I'm going to slow down. You can keep going. I slowed down. I caught my breath again. Then I slowly increased my pace. And then like almost at the end, I found him again. And then we were on the same pace again. Because I think something similar happened to him probably. Or he slowed down, adjusted as well. And I got faster again towards the end. Yeah. And then we reached the finish almost together. And... so yeah, that was an interesting experience with running because you also mentioned this that some people overtook you in the beginning and then you came back later. Yeah, this is it's really pacing yourself.
It is about pacing yourself, but we also have a proverb in Farsi that says رهرو آن نیست گهی تند و گهی خسته رود رهرو آن است که آهسته و پیوسته رود. And it means a traveler or an explorer is not a person that sometimes they go slow and sometimes they go fast. A traveler or explorer is a person that they go slow, but they continue going slow. They don't stop. Which is, if you know, also while running, the key is you shouldn't stop. But then you get tired and all this stuff happen. You pace yourself down. You continue running. Yeah. So I knew if I continue with this pace and I push in the last 20%, I'm gonna get there. And if I didn't care. Again, this was a run for happiness. Nice. A run for joy. It wasn't a run for... Because I don't think they didn't tell me the number, by the way.
Yeah. Why?
I didn't run again. I didn't run for it. It was a run for happiness. Yeah. I was listening to another podcast.
Wait, 1 second. Like, this is actually really beautiful. And I know there's a lot of people out there who do not like running. Yeah. And a lot of people also who beat themselves up over the amount of time they need for a kilometer or a mile or
My
this
housemate
kind of
does it.
stuff. Yeah, but you don't need to. Like if you want to try running, just run 1 kilometer today, 2 kilometers tomorrow, 3 the next day, and at some point reach the amount of kilometers you want to go, and just try to enjoy it. Use it as a tool to think, or use it as a tool to be really present in the moment and forget about everything and just enjoy that running experience.
So depends, what do you enjoy?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the competition, or do
Yeah.
you enjoy the mental space that it puts you in?
Yeah. No, I just like the fact that this running, for example, doesn't need to be about competition. It can be if
No.
you want to, but there's so much more in
Yeah.
running and endurance sports in general, right? As we
Yeah.
talked about in a previous episode as well.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
much more to it than the competition,
Yeah.
I think.
You don't need to be fast. Go your own speed. Just go slow. That's amazing still because you're still moving.
It's interesting because I was talking with Dennis before the podcast, and then I was talking about how I got into running.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was when I had a tough time after my breakup with my ex-girlfriend, and a lot of things were happening with my visa. It was a very difficult time. And still, I went to my GP to, if possible, recommend me to a psychologist. But this man was the best GP still I have ever had in my life. It was this old man, volunteered in Africa. He have seen life.
Yeah.
And he looked at me. I was like, how old are you? I was like, 25. You don't need a psychologist.
Okay.
He gave me a book
Yeah.
to read. And he was like, just go for a walk in this nature and that place. And the book was The Courage to Fail.
Mm-hmm.
The Courage to Fail. And how it's okay to fail. Because from the talks that I was talking to him. And I think this book was such a helpful book for me, that also helped me realize that it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
And then I went on those walks because there was beautiful nature around it, and more connecting to nature is a very also peaceful thing. And then the day after I was like, whoa, well, this is a lot of walking. What if I run this distance? So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to run a little bit. And then I was like, whoa, it's actually quite nice because I could focus on the running and not so much on the other stuff. And then I got more and more and more into it until I think you asked me to that competition. Otherwise, I didn't run that much outside.
Yeah.
But after that, I do run now outside.
And so you just said as well, like in that situation you were in, you didn't choose therapy, which would have been another solution. But
I also went to therapy.
So you also
yeah, but that book was just the fact that he didn't give me any medicine or just send me to anyone, and he was like, just
try this.
Yeah. Try this. Go read a book.
And then
it's interesting.
That book brought you to nature and
Yeah.
walking, and then that walking turned into running.
Well, not the book didn't bring me to nature. The book was how it's okay to fail. The courage to fail. Be authentic, be courageous, but it's okay if you fail.
Yeah.
And also recommended me to take walks in nature because it was during Corona that everybody was home.
Oh, so the doctor recommended that.
Yeah. And just the fact that, because in Iran, if you go to doctor, immediately 10 prescription for the medicine, different medicine. And here it's like rest, paracetamol, blah, blah, blah. And just the fact that a doctor prescribed a book for me was so cool.
Interesting, yeah.
And every time we went there, I was like, well, just get a personal trainer or start exercising. This was our discussions. It was very nice.
Okay, and so you said that it was like a dark time for you. You were struggling a lot when you started running.
At the beginning.
Mentally. And so how running as an outlet for that, how does that help? Or how did that help you?
It's funny. This is like a kind of relate to what I said before. That what do I tell myself when I run? Do you remember? What did I say? Because when I run, I tell myself that I'm unstoppable. This is my mindset. That anything happens, I will fight through it. I'll come out a better man. now I'm thinking, where did this came from? Maybe it came from that time that I was very down and very low, and I started running, and it was very difficult for me. I started running, and it was very difficult for me. But I think slowly and step by step, I told me, you're gonna come out of this a better man.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be better after this run. You got this. And I think it kind of made me a little bit resilient. That's now I trust myself. If something comes my way, I can fight it and I can continue. And this is also the mental discussion with myself.
Yeah.
That I got this. Even if it comes, I'm gonna be sad. Whatever happens, I take it, but I continue. So this is how it helped me running from that stage to now.
Yeah.
It's like it's always like an approval to myself.
Yeah.
That I know I got this. And it's funny because I refer to myself as Soroosh when I talk about my past or something.
In the third person.
In the third person. And you
Little
ask
Soroosh.
me, not little Soroosh, but you ask me, that is interesting. But that, I don't know. I look at that Soroosh as a different person. That this one is. That is what I mean when I talk about it. So maybe that Soroosh,
before he evolved.
not maybe, not before he evolved, but
to another Soroosh. No.
however you want to put it. But I think it's a growth for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that Soroosh, I remember, he didn't tell himself that I got this. I remember those days that I told myself I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what to do. This is the first. Now I say I got this. Back then I said I don't know what to do. Then I go to dentist for validation. Then I went to this place where I went to psychologist for validation. Because you don't trust your instinct and you think you're incapable of making that decision, choice, whatever. But I think over time, that Soroosh kind of grew to where the Soroosh that is now.
Yeah.
That if something happens, I say, I got this. I can ask for Dennis for help or advice, or my psychologist, my mom, whoever. But I know I can make the decisions. If the consequences are there, I will take it and it's fine. I'm going to continue.
Yeah. I find it beautiful and amazing how this experience of running and just getting started with running in the first place without being an experienced runner, not calling yourself a runner, how you can go from that and then slowly increase, like learn how to pace yourself, increase the distances, participate in competitive runs, also longer ones. And like, as you said, like you train your resilience, you got this, your mindset is changing. It's really a tool of personal growth, but it's reflected in like the way you run, of course, but you can just translate it to the way we grow as human beings as well, because you normally start whatever you start, you're in the beginning, you're not good at it. Even when you're starting to walk as a baby, for example, you're not good at it. And then bit by bit, you do more steps, you keep increasing the distances, you become more resilient, and you expand that like circle you can move in. And then, personal growth as well. Each time that you try something again and you try to go one more step than the previous time, you're growing. And I loved your story and how you use running as a tool for also growing like your mental game and solving some problems maybe in your life.
It is really. It's just for me. It's a mirror and a reflection for me that whatever happens, I got it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I will take it and I will continue. And if it rains, I'm going to continue harder.
That's amazing. Yeah, yes. I love that. I was standing at the finish line and I was thinking, okay, he must be like halfway now. And then it started pouring like crazy. But I also thought it would make the run more interesting because then you have to struggle with a new component. And it was cool. Although I was standing around, so I was getting cold, but it was amazing to just also experience.
And also thank you to you for coming.
My pleasure, man. Loved it.
Yeah. Well, it meant a lot for me to have you there.
I'll anytime.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So I think we will call it a day for now. But there
Call
was
it a run.
Yeah, we'll call it a run. There was one last reason that we added, or you added it a little bit later, because you decided to do the run, you signed up for it, you trained for it, etc. But then at some point, we also decided to participate in the Movember campaign.
Yes.
And Movember is right now, November, the month of November, we call it Movember. That name actually comes from, the month November, but it's together with Mo from I think the Australian way of saying mustache.
Really?
Yeah, Mo, and then
I didn't know. I thought it's moving.
Yeah. No, but yeah, then there's also Move Movember or something. It's also part of Movember campaign.
Okay.
So you can participate in Movember by, for example, shaving and growing a mustache in November, or you can raise money for the Movember charity, which then goes to projects related to men's mental health, but also other things like prostate cancer research and these type of things. And there's also a movement aspect to it, so you can also put yourself a challenge to run X kilometers during the month of November. And
and it's to raise awareness about men's health.
Yeah, awareness and funds to fund projects working on these type of topics.
And we are doing it more to help the mental health aspect.
Yeah, exactly. Our funds we selected to go to men's mental health, so raising awareness, but also paying for places, for example, where men can come together and talk about their mental health, or make this more accessible so men know that they can go somewhere to talk about their struggles or their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And we with the podcast we also decided participating in that, and then this run also became part of the challenge. So if you've enjoyed this story and you like what we're doing for Movember, which is running, together we want to run 100 kilometers combined this month, maybe more, let's see. But also depends on you a little bit, because we get really motivated if we see that a lot of people are like, it's similar to the end of the run when you're just with the crowd is cheering.
If people cheer you, you run faster and more.
And you can support us by either raising funds yourself, and you can join our Hearts Wide Open team on the Movember page and raise funds yourself. But you can also donate to our campaign on Hearts Wide Open. You can join our free men's circle, which is going to happen on November 19th here in Amsterdam. And what else was there? Moving, raising funds, and joining the men's circle.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and stay tuned for any content on our social media, because you can also find out what you can win by donating to our campaign.
They don't know what they can win. No?
The ones that paid attention probably already know, but we'll post something on social media as well.
If you want to know, go follow us on the socials.
Or for any and all information on our Movember campaign, you can also check out heartswideopenpodcast.com/Movember, and you can find everything you need to know there.
Yes.
That's been Dennis
and Soroosh.
And thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.